President, PhD cohorts, UK, University of Lincoln. He's studying a PhD in social policy, focusing on artisanal and small-scale gold mining sector. We will also be joined by Albert Kwabena Adese, who is Secretary, PhD cohort Group UK at the University of Huddersfield. He's studying a PhD in facilities management, focusing on architecture and the built environment. Albert and Prince, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
Great.
Thank you for having me.
Great. Just stay with us 1 minute and let's listen to some of your colleagues and what they've been saying concerning their current situation.
I am a PhD candidate at the University of Essex Business School, Colchester campus. I am currently in my final year and I am due to submit my thesis in September 2025. However, due to the unpaid tuition fee for the 2024-2025 academic year, the university has threatened to terminate my studentship, making it impossible for me to continue my studies. This has affected me both financially, emotionally, and psychologically. I am also owed about 32 months of stipend since I started my studies at the university. I am therefore pleading on the government of Ghana and all stakeholders involved to, as a matter of urgency, come to our aid for the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat to pay our tuition fee and all outstanding areas to enable us to complete our studies successfully and to return back to Ghana to contribute our quota to the economic development of Ghana and the world at large.
My tuition has not been paid. For the past 18 months that I've been here, I've not received a penny from the government of Ghana, who brought us here on scholarship. We've not done anything wrong. We've just come here to acquire knowledge to get back to the country and support the country's growth agenda. My university has logged me out of the university portal and I cannot go to the library. I can't do anything as a PhD student, and I am going to be withdrawn by 11 July if nothing is done. I dread this situation. Please, Mr. President, please, your children are dying slowly in another man's land. Please help us. Please. No one could imagine that conditions in the UK could be this uncomfortable. There are no jobs. We can only work for 20 hours a week, but you don't even get those hours. You don't. We cannot survive.
Imagine not being paid for 24 months. You survive on 20 hours salary, which you will be grateful if you get exactly 20 hours work per week. You lose your job along the line and start to search for another. Not an easy task as a part-time job seeker, especially an immigrant as such. I currently owe my landlord 7 months of unpaid rent. We had a cordial relationship until I started making promises of receiving money from the government by the end of April, as said by the registrar. Again, at the end of May, I promised my landlord, referencing the registrar's tour in the UK earlier in May. I received a fair letter from my landlord stating his intention to end my tenancy. I have informed the education unit, but no outcome. I am worried, I am disturbed. My reputation is tarnished and I am about to be homeless. How do I concentrate on my studies? Yes, there are other means to survive. Other means I will not advise my child to and will be disheartened to see my child engaged in. Should I consider them? But then I wonder, as a Ghanaian or as a result of being starved, at this point, does my dignity matter anymore? But I remember I'm the future of my motherland. Mr. President, please come to our aid.
I'm a second-year PhD student at the University of Aberdeen. In my case, my research cost is part of my tuition fees. And as a result of the non-payment of my tuition fees, I am unable to go to the field for the data collection. At least, even if I had my stipends paid, I could sacrifice some of it to go onto the field. I'm currently stranded and time is running out. I add my voice to other colleagues who are in a similar situation to appeal to the government to come to our aid, so we can have our studies completed on good time, so we can return to the country to contribute our quota to our national development.
And you heard from some Ghanaians studying abroad in the United Kingdom. telling us their situation. Let's get on to Zoom, where Prince Bansa is. He's at the University of Lincoln, studying a PhD in social policy, focusing on artisanal and small-scale gold mining sector. And Albert Kwabinedese, who is secretary of the PhD Cohort Group in the UK, University of Huddersfield, studying for a PhD, is reading a PhD in facilities management, focusing on architecture and the built environment. Thank you once again for staying with us. Let me start off with you, Prince. Tell me, what's your situation too?
Well, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. And let me take the opportunity to say that our quest to come on into the media is not to build sort of adversarial relationship with the new registrar. We all appreciate the fact that they are new government, and as we all know, there is liability and there is assets. These are statutory obligations which every government will have to fulfill. And so in our future engagement with all the stakeholders, this should not be seen as political or building some sort of adversarial relationship with the powers that be. Having said that, the situation, as you have, our colleagues have actually adumbrated in the thesis that you have played, is accurately what is going on the ground, and even more egregious than what is expressed in those audio. At the moment, we are owed stipends between 6 to 36 months. There are people who haven't received their stipend for 36 months, so which means if you are a PhD student, for the entire 3 years that you have been here, you haven't received a dime. The schools have not been reimbursed. Let me say, because Kojo actually indicate some of the processes that the new government could take. Let me say is that the new registrar in April, when the students wanted to go on demonstration, the new registrar came here in the early part of May and actually engaged some of the universities and went into some sort of agreement with them that they will be paying, particularly in University of Birmingham, they will be remitting some sort of 10% of the debt that they owe. The registrar also met the larger group of the students in various forums and assured them that by end of May, some stipends will be paid. But to our dismay, when the registrar returned to Ghana, he launched a very, scatty media engagement, which obviously didn't really communicate exactly what he came here to say. And so that is where we are now. We have tried to get in touch with the representatives here, and a lot of students will tell you when they send an email, nobody responds. And so people are really, really in a very excruciating circumstances. As you have heard from the audio, people have been jettisoned from their various accommodation. Food banks have now become the order of the day for most of the students. And you see, those of you who have had the opportunity to study abroad, you understand in the UK, for instance, when you're hungry, you cannot go and then knock at anybody's door and say, like the way we do it in Ghana, and say, today I don't have food, so give me something. There is nothing like that. When you are sick, it is only you and your God. As I speak to you now, some of our colleagues are depressed, they are bedridden, and they are not able to do anything because of the circumstances. And I can mention my personal circumstances to you. Recently, where I'm writing my final thesis, and then one of my chapters, after my supervisor read, he said, what has happened? It does appear like you have gone off board a bit. And then there was a subsequent well-being investigation, and they linked this to the non-payment of the stipend for nearly 20 months. And so the well-being officer had gotten in touch with me, and they decided that they have to raise the matter in the British Common. So they told me that they were going to email my local MP. For them, since the Ghanaian authorities do not want to address the matter, this issue needs to be raised at that level so that it becomes a diplomatic, because it's tied to a human rights. That is what the email says. And as I speak to you, last week I received an email from my local MP here in the UK saying that I should provide details, further details of the circumstances, and that they could table the issue in the British Parliament for a conversation to be be espoused on it. So this is the level at which things are, and this is obviously going to cause some sort of a diplomatic embarrassment to Ghana. So, last year, some of our colleagues were withdrawn, and some of us were in a good position to even assist them and house a few of them. We are no longer in that position to assist most of our colleagues. So the situation is really, really dying. As our brother Samson enumerated during his take yesterday on the Joy News channel on Saturday, you could see some of our colleagues, the men, are actually being engaging in some sort of jobs like going to donate sperms and all those kind of things. These are reality. Sometimes when people talk about this, even initially when this matter came up, I was thinking that it was just one of the height of it, until I have gone to make further investigation and saw a flyer that is actually on the masters and the undergraduate platform where people go to engage in some of these things. So you can imagine if men can do this, what about our ladies? Particularly the PhD students. You can imagine a PhD student, the PhD process itself comes with some level of humbleness. So we don't want to be building up our stress, our mental depressions with conversations of this nature. But we don't have any other option, because 24 hours, unlike the masters and then the undergraduates who have some sort of, as we speak now, they are on a summer break, so they can go and then work. PhDs, you do not have any break. You are working 24 hours. You can see I'm in my office this morning. I literally even sleep here some of the time because I have to write, 100 pages, 200 pages and all that. So it's a lot of work for the PhD. That 20 hours that is even granted to PhDs to where you cannot even work, because in the work portfolio of the UK now, you have to be a permanent worker, or you have to have a visa that grants you maximum time to work. No company is ready to take you to come and work for them for just 20 hours. They are looking for people continuity in their job portfolio. So the conundrum is really huge. And sometimes I feel so sad when we try to trivialize and politicize these things, because the stakeholders knows the caliber of people who have been sponsored. Okay. And they knew that this caliber of student that has been sponsored cut across all the political divides. So we know ourselves, PhD groups, we are working with almost about over a little over 80 numbers. We know everyone. So these are not political matters. These are not party issues. These are not trivialized matters. These are serious issues that is really affecting not only the mental health of students, it is also affecting the diplomatic relations of Ghana. And so our call is that we are pleading with the government. We know that it's a new government. I mean, it would be silly on anybody's part to just assume that this government is a contributor of this problem. We know that they have come to meet us, and as I said from my beginning of my submission, they are actually liabilities and assets that they have.
Sure, but Prince, coming back to your situation before I get to Kwabna, coming back, when it comes to your stipend, for instance, how many months are in arrears?
So I'm now owed over 20 months arrears. I've not been paid, and my rent bills are piling up. Things are becoming so very difficult. Some of us have had a bit of experience living in the UK, so we are able to manage our way around it, but there are so many students out there. I also happen to be the international ambassador for my school, and also the PGR rep. So every now and then I get calls from different sort of students, African students from different universities, with very similar circumstances. It is really an eyesore. It is really disheartening.
How about your tuition fee, your school fees?
Okay, so
have they been paid, or that is also in arrears?
Okay, so last year we started some initiatives, and thanks to Samson Ayenini again, he has been indeed, he is a savior on our PhD platform. Everybody adore him. Thank him very much for championing this cause. Samson last year, as you remember, he asked the then vice president about these circumstances. After we have sent him a message, a countless message, so he decided to abandon his own question and then ask the question on our behalf. After that question, the vice president moved into action and released some money to the then registrar, who actually paid some of the part of the fees. So my fee was paid. At the moment, I do not have any fee that I'm being owed by the university because the university has not sent me. Usually, they'll put it on your one uni because we have something called one uni, and that. So at the moment, I do not have a fee to pay. Obviously, I still have an outstanding fee, which will be a thesis pending fee. That hasn't come through yet. So hopefully, by the time I'll start to submit my thesis, maybe some new renewal letters may come in to be able to take care of that. So that is the portfolio at which I am now. But with the stipend, I'm owed nearly 20 months.
Okay, let me bring in Kwabena at this point. Let me hear from Kwabena also what his situation is. Kwabena, tell us your situation also.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity, and I'll also put my voice to my brothers to make it look like this is not anything political, and he's trying to fight as a student and a well-meaning Ghanaian and citizens of a country. So currently, I've been withdrawn from my course, even though I'm the secretary of the PhD cohort. I'm studying at the University of Huddersfield, and then before, series of emails were issued to me just to get in touch with my authorities to see what they can do for me. So the problem is even if the university emails the secretariat, no response. So before it got to this point, they issued the invoice in my name to pay, and then they issued me a letter from the debt collectors to chase me for it. But I told them I came to the school with a scholarship, so I have no money to pay as at this point. Before the withdrawal letter came, I was supposed to go for a sustainable ecological engineering design for society conference, but when the letter came, I was blocked out. But through my supervisor's ability, I managed to submit my paper and did my presentation online, which at the end of the day, I won the best paper for the category of traditional sustainability with a certificate to that. So at the minute, I've been withdrawn from my course, and I'm owed about 19 months of stipend, and it goes across a lot of people. With the data we are gathering and working now, we've got about 83 students as it stands now, and about 9 of them has been withdrawn. And for me personally, I've got 21 days from the letter. I had 60 days to leave the country, and it's in the 21st day. I've got only 21 days more for that to expire. And I've got colleagues who are in a similar situation as well. Some has even gone to the point that the UKV has curtailed their visa. And if everything goes on right, we have to reapply for them to get another visa to get their studentship back. So that is the situation on the ground now. There are a lot of issues happening for some of us. Like Bansa said, we've got our way to manage in the country. So even if in this situation my fees are paid for me to get back on the course, and so subsequently my stipends are paid, it will be better for me. I'm old, I've been given a withdrawal letter, and I'm no more a student as it stands now.
Now, your fees, help us understand your tuition fees. How many years tuition fees do you owe?
So currently I'm in my second year, which I've finished with my progression to go to my third year. But because of that, my second year fees has not been paid. And then I must say that even in my first year, I got a withdrawal letter. And then when the money was released after the vice president issue, I had to go back through protocol to be restored back to the school. And I'm in my situation again this time. So I've been owed for my second year and my third year going into it. So for 2 academic years, I've not been paid school fees.
Now, you met the registrar of the scholarship secretariat, Alex Kwekuasafweje.
Yeah.
When you met him, what did he tell you?
So when he came around, a lot of people were much into this stipend issue. But what he said was that if anybody has got questions for stipend, they should put it on hold now, because he cannot promise us that by the end of May, portion of the monies will be paid. But it's in July now, and ever since he came to UK and flew back to Ghana, we've not heard any form of communication from him or the secretariat again. And one of the most disheartening thing is that the authorities in the High Commission in London, even if you email them, call them, you don't get any response. And that is the most difficult thing. I find it difficult understanding that you are, say, a liaison officer between the country and the students here, and even the students get in touch with you, no response. And in my case, the school wanted just an email from the secretariat just to say that, yeah, they are aware. I explained to them that there's been a change of government, so it will take a bit of time for that to go through. but they emailed them several times and no response.
Hold on.
And based on that,
Hold on. The school emailed the scholarship secretariat.
yes, several times,
Several times, they did not
several
respond.
times, no response. And based on that, they issued me a withdrawal letter, which I shared with Samson the last time. And it's been 3 months now. I've not been doing anything, but thanks to my supervisor, he engages me, and I'm still taking my data and doing other stuff. So if everything goes back on, I will not be behind.
So, I mean, personally, have you heard anything from any person at the scholarship secretariat?
No. The only thing we heard was in 2nd May when the registrar came here and assured us that he will get back to the schools and also make sure he pays some of our stipends for us. Apart from that, no. Even when we took over the executives, the position, we try engaging the secretariat in so many ways, but only God knows when they will get back to us.
Now, you say you've been issued a withdrawal letter. You have 21 days to leave the country.
Yes.
Do you have can you even afford your tickets back into the country?
I keep telling people, maybe unless Interpol comes to pick me, I don't have anything. I don't have anything to pay my ticket because I was working as a duty manager for a hospital, but because of the 20 hours, I was forced to withdraw or resign from work just to concentrate and just to follow and be in line with the regulations of a student visa. So I now work for 20 hours, and sometimes for the 20 hours contract in a week, even to get the full 20 hours is difficult because nobody will employ you just to work 20 hours and get another person to come and work for the other hours. So they tend to get people to work full time rather than giving the 20 hours. And now with the new immigration routes and regulations that they brought in, it makes things very difficult for us.
Let me just get back to you, Prince, and find out how many of you PhD students from Ghana currently in the UK?
Okay, so in the past we have not had proper record as to how many people has been given a scholarship to study PhD, but we have a PhD a group chat which has almost about 147 individuals on it, including some of the representatives from the High Commission and the liaison officer. Some of them are no longer on the platform, but recently we have taken the effort to really sanitize the numbers. So right now we have about 82 of our colleagues that we know for sure that has been owed in one way or the other and who have been sponsored. So we are working with that number at the moment.
That's 82. And how about, do you know the number of those on other graduate programs, saying on a master's program?
Yes, so because they also have their different platforms, it's very difficult for us to be able to tell, but we have been in touch with so many of them. They have called us, they've shared their situations with us. We know all that is happening. And as I said, because I'm also the ISA president for my school, I'm in touch with some of them, so I know what is happening, even including some of them who have completed the year. Last year, there's a gentleman who finished his master's degree here in the UK in my school. He couldn't graduate and his visa has run out a day before. I have to come in to pull some string and get to the university before they were able to issue some letter for him to reapply to be able to have his stay, and then also wait for the government to pay his fees to graduate. So it is a very widespread situation that is affecting almost everyone that is being sponsored by the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat. Unfortunately, very funny enough, this scholarship scheme actually happened to fall under the office of the president in the past. And yet, the GET Fund and that of the GMPC, they don't seem to have that much of a difficulty like the way the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat, which is rather under the office of the president, seems to have. And so our plea is that we know that this is one of the liabilities that have been inherited by this current president. And we know the creation, this is not their creation, but government is obviously in a continuum. We are pleading that the situation is fluid. It is extremely, very, very, very fluid, and something needs to be done as quickly as possible. The research has to start with the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat. How do we do that? At least if you are owing students, you pay the students, and then you know that you don't have any debt with the student. As for the schools, you can always negotiate with them. The problem here, at the heart of the problem, is that there's appear to be non-engagement and also the contradictions. Because if the registrar was here and met the schools, and yet the schools still proceed to issue, like Birmingham, for instance, I know 6 students currently who have been withdrawn, and they have got just about 2 weeks to have their visas revoked and probably leave. One of them is even my vice president. Last year, he was in the same situation. We have to pull string around when the former vice president intervened, and then they release some money. And this situation continued to be cyclical. And the universities have realized that anytime they withdraw the students, the government act to pay something. So they'll keep doing it. They are not stupid, because they know that, if we withdraw them, the government will move around to do something. So I don't understand why the registrar can have an agreement with these institutions, but the institutions still continue. Maybe perhaps we must also look at the conversation we have in the media there, say one thing here and say another thing here. It compounds the problem. So all we are saying is that, Mr. President, this is not your creation. The government is continuing. Please come to the aid of us. Come to the aid of the student. A lot more of the students are in very depressive state. At least if for nothing at all, for the PhDs, we can't do anything apart from 24 hours being on our computer, trying to solve problems. You'll be fascinated if you interview each of these 82 PhD students. You'll be fascinated by the kind of research areas they are concentrating in. And that will go a long way to resolve some of the challenges, the myriad of challenges that Ghana is actually being faced. And so we are pleading with the government that it should come immediately and then reset this process, and then we can begin from a very fresh note.
Great. Albert, on your part, finally, what do you want the government, particularly the president, to do for you?
Yeah, so we as citizens of Ghana would plead with him, since he's a listening president, to come in our aid and to make sure the investment that the government has already invested in us 2-3 years wouldn't be in vain. So in my case, if I'm to come to Ghana and I couldn't continue, it's a matter of wasting 3 years on this course without getting any certificate for me. And then the government too have paid a lot of money for me in my first year, and it has gone down the drain in vain. So it will be very sad to start something that you cannot finish. So we are pleading that we believe that he's a listening president, and he will come to our aid and make sure everything, especially our fees, are paid, so that we get a status and go ahead to pay our stipend to make things easy for us. Like, I'll go back to the number that you asked, my president. So with the 82 students that we're working with the PhD now, but the records I have, which I'm privy to have, we've got, out of the 82, we've got 11 people being withdrawn, including me. 13 being suspended. Suspension means they've not received the withdrawal letter, but the school has gone to a certain stage that they are issuing their fees or their invoices in their name for them to be paid by themselves. And as such, they've blocked them access to their library and other educational materials. And others have completed and cannot graduate. So yesterday I received an email from some master students in University of Bradford. If you want me to read it, I can read it briefly for you.
Yes, read it briefly.
So it says, Dear Albert, I'm writing on behalf of myself and fellow students regarding the unresolved fee payment issue discussed on your meeting and on the 2nd of May. During this meeting, the registrar assured us that all stipend issues would be deferred and would receive payment by the end of May. The deadline has now passed without resolution. My current impact, my financial fee and hardship on me. Some of my colleagues has been suspended. Others are in the situation of which are deteriorating, which students are being evicted and forced to share accommodations with other colleagues. Our request is for the president to process this promised payment, provide a clear timeline for resolution, and support students currently facing suspension and housing issues. We trust this matter will be received urgently and given a serious impact on academic progress. We wish you well in your discussions with the registrar and the authorities. So that is the message I received from these guys from the University of Bradford, which I've read over to you. And there are well-meaning Ghanaians, people, students out there who are trying to get in touch with us through this means. We believe that it's a common cause that we are all championing to make sure everybody gets a fair treatment and make sure whatever we are sent here to come and do, we'll finish it and get back to the country to support them.
So, Albert, tell me, currently, how much fees do you owe?
So, like I said, on record, I'm owed for my second year, and this is my third year. So, if it has to be paid, they need to pay my second and my third year. Because if they pay the second year, going into this third year, I'll still receive the same thing, and it will bring me back to the same situation.
How much is it?
I'm sure my fee is about £12,000 a year.
Okay.
So if it is for 2 years, it's £24,000.
And your stipend, which you're owed about 19 months, how much is it for a month?
It's £1,023 a month.
So you're owed about £20,000.
Yes.
Prince, when it comes to you also, you're owed over 20 months stipend. Same £1,023?
Yes. So for those of us who are not students in London, because the living condition in London is higher than those of us who are outskirts London, so our fees are pegged almost at the same rate. But for those in London, they have a little bit more, which is around 1,200 and over per month. So those of us outside London have 1,023. Yes.
All right, Prince Bansa and Albert Kobinade say thank you very much for joining us. We'll pick up this issue. We're going to follow up on it, and we'll get you a response from those in authority. We hope that by end of week this is resolved. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate your
very grateful.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Great. So that's Prince Bansa and Albert Kobinade say, both in the United Kingdom pursuing PhD programs, but as you heard, in the case of Albert, he has been withdrawn from the University of Huddersfield because his fees haven't been paid.